Most of the nerdy world is still reeling from the announcement that Rosario Dawson will be playing a live-action Ahsoka Tano. That is absolutely nuts, but it's also compounded by some other rumors that suggest we could be getting an Ahsoka series on Disney+, all focusing on a story about Ahsoka. So in this video, I want to talk about all the things we know about Ahsoka's story so far and speculate about what I think they could do with an Ahsoka series. What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Star Wars Sunday for you if you're watching this on Sunday, and if not, no big deal, but you should know we drop dope Star Wars videos every single Sunday. So I've actually been racking my brain trying to come up with and think about what an Ahsoka Tano series could look like. I mean, it's already crazy enough that we're going to see her in the Mandalorian Season 2, and I think that will probably be just a cameo, a one-episode sort of thing, but the idea of then going and doing an Ahsoka series is both amazing and also sort of confusing. I'm really trying to think about where they could do an Ahsoka series, and there's a lot of different things going on with Star Wars that actually complicate this issue. But maybe the best way to start this video and just to kind of get on the same page is to talk about all of the big moments in Ahsoka's life and all the things we know about the timeline with Ahsoka. So I think one of the biggest things with Ahsoka was when she left the Jedi Temple. She leaves the Jedi Order. She's like, I'm not coming back to the Jedi. It was a big moment between her and Anakin, and that is the last that we see of her in the Clone Wars era until recently. And in the most recent episodes, they're sort of filling out what Ahsoka was doing after she left the Jedi Order. She's on different levels of Coruscant, but eventually she will end up with Anakin again, and we know she's going to do the Siege of Mandalore. Now, this was already depicted in the Ahsoka novel, but it is essentially going to be where Ahsoka comes to Mandalore and liberates it from Darth Maul. And we're all really excited to see that actually take place at the end of this last season of Clone Wars. It's also a really convenient reason as to why Ahsoka is not on Coruscant during the events of Revenge of the Sith. But let's jump to the next big massive moment in the life of Ahsoka and really in Star Wars canon. This is just an awesome piece of the lore, but this is when Ahsoka meets Darth Vader and Anakin for the first time since like leaving the Jedi Order. She realizes that this is Anakin being Darth Vader, and this is all on Malachor. Now, in these events in Rebels, she's helping out Kanan Jarrus and Ezra Bridger, and she's fighting with Vader to give them time to escape Malachor. Now, what's super crazy about this moment is that Ahsoka's fighting Vader, and yet she survives this fight. She doesn't beat Vader, but she is actually pulled out of that moment in time through a portal into the world between worlds. So yeah, she literally time travels. She's taken out of that time, goes into this place with Ezra in the world between worlds, and it is at that moment where she learns a lot of different things about what's going on. So she finds out about the death of Kanan Jarrus. She finds out about where the rebels are currently at way in the future, or at least a couple of years in the future. And she also sees the incredible, crazy power of Palpatine as he is involved with that scene and tries to actually get to enter the world between worlds by using some kind of Sith magic and trying to corrupt Ahsoka and Ezra Bridger. And she ends that moment in her life and that moment in the lore by actually going back to the temple. So she is sent back to her original timeline at the temple on Malachor, and we don't see her again until the end of Rebels during the epilogue. This is where she shows up as Ahsoka the White. We have Sabine sort of narrating this epilogue. This is where Sabine realizes that there's something more to what Ezra was telling her at the end of Star Wars Rebels, and she goes seemingly with Ahsoka to go search for Ezra Bridger. Now, we actually hear Ahsoka again at the end of Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Her voice is among the other Jedi voice that help Rey. It sort of powers up Rey, gives her all the power of all the Jedi so that she can defeat Sidious once and for all. And a lot of people think that Ahsoka is dead at that moment. That is how she's able to join all of the other voices, but Dave Filoni has actually been pretty vocal about how he does not believe that scene makes it so that Ahsoka is dead. He put a sketch up on Twitter of Gandalf the White and Ahsoka the White having a conversation where Gandalf sort of tongue-in-cheekly says, "Don't you remember when everybody thought I was dead as well?" So within all of the events that I just described would be a time period or a place in which a solo Ahsoka series on Disney Plus could happen. But I think there's a couple of other hints as to where this kind of a series would take place in her timeline. I think number one, Dave Filoni is pretty dang obsessed with telling a story with Ahsoka the White. Since the Rebels finale, Dave Filoni has done a bunch of different sketches of Ahsoka, and almost all of them have her as that Ahsoka the White portrayal. In fact, just today, literally today, the day I'm recording and publishing this video, Dave Filoni changed the background image on Twitter for his account, and it is literally an image of Ahsoka and Rex on Loth Wolves, and Ahsoka is in her Ahsoka the White getup. Dave is a near master storyteller, and I'm guaranteeing you that he has an idea for a story about Ahsoka and Sabine and Ezra spinning out of the Rebels epilogue, and I guarantee you he wants to tell the story of Ahsoka the White very, very badly. In fact, I think that he's already told that story. We just haven't seen it. And what I'm referring to is the rumored Rebels sequel animated Star Wars show. From a lot of the different things we've heard about this show, it does appear to be a story with Sabine and with Ahsoka, and it seems to be their search for Ezra Bridger. This would, of course, tell the story that I think Dave really wants to tell. Now, look, that show is probably going to be amazing. I'm a huge fan of all of Dave Filoni's animated stuff, and I can't wait to see the story he has to tell with Ahsoka in the Rebels sequel. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about the live action Disney Plus show. But there's an important thing going on here. I do not think that we are going to see that story with Ahsoka the White and Ezra Bridger and Sabine told in live action. From everything we know, that is already being developed, and it will be for the Rebel sequel. And I assume the Rebel sequel series will run for at least 4 seasons. And frankly, this is something that kind of confuses me about the appearance in the Mandalorian Season 2 anyways. Like, I'm just kind of trying to figure out, how could Ahsoka be in that show in the 2nd season of the Mandalorian and not give anything away for what's going on in the Rebel sequel show? Because if Grace Randolph's scoop about Ezra Bridger being in that show is true, that just compounds and confuses everything even more. Like, how could Ezra and Ahsoka be in that show at a time that is very close to the end of Star Wars Rebels? How could all of that be happening and it not give away something that happens in the Rebels animated sequel? Because the epilogue to Rebels and the beginning of The Mandalorian are like literally almost in the same year. I've heard that they're both 5 years after the Battle of Endor. Now, we have heard rumors that the shows are going to tie together actually very cleanly and very nicely, that they've worked on this. I mean, obviously, Filoni and Favreau worked together to create The Mandalorian. Filoni knows what's going on in the Rebels animated sequel. They've probably figured out how to make that fit together very, very nicely. We just don't know exactly how that's going to happen. But here's what it does. It actually restricts the possibility of things they will show in a live-action Ahsoka series if we do that. Because even if they are developing that show right now, which I actually think they are, and I think that was a big part of the deal with Rosario Dawson, her signing multiple appearances, Dave getting his crack at live action with The Mandalorian Season 1, I think all of these things are actually building together, and that, yeah, Filoni does have a pitch for a live-action Ahsoka series, but that's all speculation, right? But either way, let's just follow that train of thought for a second here. There's no way that Dave's going to write a show in live action that will come out during the 4 years of the series going on with the Rebels sequel, because I believe it's at least going to be 4 years, right? He would never do a live action Ahsoka show that's going to tell the same story or take away from the story of the animated series. But I think there's a perfect place to tell a new and interesting story with live action Ahsoka, and that would be telling the story of how she becomes Ahsoka the White. Because after Ahsoka goes back through the portal to her original time, where she did just have that fight with Anakin and the temple's collapsing, but Vader gets out of there, right? From the moment she goes back to the moment we see her again in the Rebels epilogue, she has to be very hands-off. Despite her knowing how certain things are going to play out in the now her future, she doesn't act on it. And we know she doesn't do this because this is a lesson that she gives to Ezra while they are in the world between worlds. Ezra sees Kanan Jarrus sacrificing himself and dying, which happened before Ezra gets into the world between worlds, but now he sees it and has an opportunity to save Kanan. But Ahsoka points out to him, if you save Kanan there, then everyone else will die in that moment and you'll never get here. I'll never get saved. All of this stuff won't happen. You can't mess with time like that. You have to just witness it and allow it to be. So because she already has that wisdom and she imparts it on Ezra, we can assume she's rocking with that same code. So when she gets back to Malachor, from that moment till when we see Ahsoka the White in the epilogue, she must be involved in what's going on with the galaxy, but she literally has to stay away from big crazy events and things that are happening because she doesn't want to affect the timeline. And that's the perfect place to put a live action Ahsoka show. I mean, think about it. She won't be interacting with big events in canon. She's going to stay away from all of those events because she knows how they're going to play out. So it's like a perfect way to keep her away from big crazy things that were going on at that time. She obviously progresses to some new realization about the Force or interacts with some kind of Force using tribe to get her staff and to get the white cloaks that she has. And so there's obviously a story there, right? So what a better place to tell a tale with live action Ahsoka than that kind of a setting. I mean, it feels like it would be very similar to The Mandalorian. Like it can be that vibe with her just literally going around from outer rim territory to outer rim territory, or looking for different things about the Force, trying to seek out knowledge while also seeing the crazy things that are going on in the galaxy and knowing that she can't interact with them. So yeah, it's just speculation, guys, but that's what I think's going on here. I mean, when you take a look at the different Star Wars shows that are in production, what we think is going to be happening, and the fact that, yeah, there's probably going to be a live action Ahsoka series, I think this is the best way to make all of this fit together. You go back and you tell a story about Ahsoka where she's hiding. How was she hiding from the histories? What was she doing? How did she become Ahsoka the White? That's what I think the live action Ahsoka Tano series should be about. But of course, let me know your thoughts about what you think the solo live action Ahsoka series should be about, and how excited you are for all of this crazy Star Wars content that's coming down the pipe. And now let's shout out Amaze21. Yes, indeed, the Emperor wanted Ezra to unlock the secrets of the Jedi Temple on Lothal, and that was to enter the world between worlds. So shout out to you, Amaze21. And now let's ask another nerd card question before we get out of here. I want to know, what is the name of the alien threat to the Chiss higher ascendancy? There's a group of aliens out in the unknown regions that, if you've been reading the Thrawn trilogy, you'll know is causing a lot of problems for the Chiss. What is the name of those aliens? Answer that question in the comment section below. You can click or tap on some of the videos over there to get lost down a nerdy rabbit hole. Make sure you like this video if you liked it, and maybe share it with somebody you think might find it interesting. We do live streams over on our live streaming channel every day, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you really want to support the channel, consider checking out the Patreon, joining the list of awesome names below here for some behind the scenes content. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.